Well, today I'm going to be talking about this is the day. This is the day. Do you realize that this is the only day we live? This moment, now, right now, moment by moment. The last moment was in the past. The next moment will be in the future. But right now, this is where we live. And this moment is pretty much filled with our attention, unless, of course, we're dividing our attention between now and what happened in the past. Now, the past might have contained a boatload of grief and pain, or perhaps beauty and encouragement was part of our past. But actually, when we keep revisiting it mentally, what we are revisiting is a memory, not this moment in which we live. We might be dragging memories around, allowing them to either cheer us up or make us depressed. But we only live this day, this moment. And the mindset, the expectations that we have, we bring to it, color it, and shape it. And if you have the right mindset, life can be a wonderful thing. If you don't have the right mindset, and we all know people who don't, then it is not a thing of beauty. Now, this morning, I should say, I want to briefly revisit some ideas that any of you who took a Psychology 101 course will remember, because it's going to be very familiar. And what I'm going to be talking about is Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, how many of you have heard about that before? Well, the majority, yeah. Isn't that interesting? That's fascinating. I'm going to do a brief overview in case your memory is just a little bit shaky on this thing. But it's a concept that has influenced so many sectors of society. Certainly psychology, major, and psychiatry, no doubt, too, but education in a major way, and business in another major way, executive board rooms, and on and on and on. It's touched so many sectors of society. Now, I made a little chart. I hope you can read it. Here we go. Let's fight with the leaves there. There we go. Okay? We start, of course, at the bottom of the triangle, the hierarchy of needs. Thank you very much, Nancy, in case people can't see through the little stand. Physical needs, of course. Now, these needs are us. It's what we have to cope with on an ongoing basis. And you start with physiological needs, right down at the bottom. That's the most basic thing. Air, being able to breathe, water, food, sleep, sex, relatively constant body temperature. In other words, you have to have clothes on, you have to have some kind of shelter. These are basic physiological needs. They have to be taken care of. Bottom line. But right above them comes safety. And oh my goodness, this is a major thing. Safety, security, protection. This makes us sometimes very afraid that we will lose our security in some way, shape, or form. If we lose our job, there goes our security. If we lose our home, no good at all. If there's crime in the neighborhood, we feel unsafe in our home or in our neighborhood. That's bad. That makes life very, very difficult. This very basic need is not being taken care of. So what do? Well, we save money for our retirement. We give thanks for Social Security because that helps. And disability income. My goodness, for those who need it, it's a lifesaver. These things protect us against economic crises or natural disasters. They're there to support and sustain us and make us secure. Oh my, and when there are wars, and praise the Lord, we have not had wars touch our country. or there is family violence, and then that happens in way too many homes. It becomes a primary need to feel safe. We can't even imagine how those people in Iraq and Syria and various other places in the Middle East manage uh, their homes being bombarded, some place where generations of their family had lived, and it's turned into rubble, and they become wanderers on the face of the earth. They have to flee for their lives with perhaps what they have in their backs and what they can pick up in their hands. So important, that whole issue of safety. And the next of his hierarchy of needs is love and belonging. Oh my goodness, our hearts need it, don't they? This is especially strong in children. They need desperately to love and belong. And usually we find that in the family. But you know, children, even in abused families, will cling to the family because that need is so great. Uh, in our family of origin, hopefully we find those things. We find a sense of belonging and of being loved. But if we don't find it there, then we create it. We get a group of like-minded, accepting friends, and they are our source of belongingness and affection, being important. Loving and being loved, being valued by one person, by one special person, is so important to so many of us, to all of us indeed. And it is something that if we don't have it, we long for it probably. But this whole business of belonging encourages us to have social groups that we enjoy being with of an evening or of a day. The military, that is really something that instills a sense of belonging, because these people are out risking their lives many times, and the person next to them has their back, will support them, will take care of them, help them if they need. So church groups are a source of support and belonging as well, and love. And gangs are too. That's why gangs are so insidious, you know, that they so appeal to young people, because there is that belonging again. Certainly, if this particular need is not met, what results is loneliness, an aching loneliness, and sometimes depression or social anxiety. Next one, esteem. People like you. People respect you. And more important than that even, you value yourself. You see the good within yourself. You see the strengths within yourself. You're not gnawing at yourself, criticizing yourself on an ongoing basis. It's so important to, as Jesus said, love yourself. Love your neighbor, but love him as yourself. So you have to love yourself. This kind of self-love is really absolutely inseparable with self-confidence, being able to get up and go out and meet the world with some confidence. Now, if you've had a critical parent, that is not good news, because sometimes you will carry the messages of that parent in the back of your head on an ongoing basis. You'll put yourself down just as they did. Sometimes family can instill a very low self-esteem, a tremendous inferiority complex to some people. But we have to ignore that. We have to move through that, because that's not the truth of us. And at the top of the pyramid, Maslow put self-actualization. And what he said was, it's fulfilling your potential, fully fulfilling it. being the most that you can be, whatever you want to be. If you want to be the best parent in the world, or if you want to be a terrific athlete, or excellent at your work, or an artist, or a musician, that you just are the very best at it that you can you possibly be, you give your attention, you love to it. You are happy doing that. And he also put as a special kind of category those who devote their lives to achieving some great objective to help other people. Now, Maslow said that there aren't too many people who become self-actualized. That's what he said. A few, he said, got it. But some examples were Mohandas Gandhi, who totally ignored his safety needs. I mean, there were attempts to kill him a number of times, and he put himself out there being a civilly disobedient to try to persuade the British Empire to allow India to be to be their own country. But he achieved it. He achieved that marvelous goal, and he was assassinated in the end. So he gave his life for it. And Maslow also points out Nelson Mandela in jail, in prison for more than 20 years. But through his determination, apartheid died. And he became the next president of South Africa. And the miracle was that there wasn't a bloodbath afterwards. There was not a bloodbath. There could have been. Oh, my goodness. It could have been a Rwanda all over again. But that was not to be. Through his own consciousness, through his efforts, self-actualized people. Now, Maslow published his paper on the hierarchy of needs in 1943. He was just 35 at the time. And boy, it just made big waves and has continued to make big waves. He became very famous because of it. But he soon realized it really wasn't complete. It didn't explain the transcendent experiences that people have, connecting with something greater than yourself, with feelings of joy and euphoria, with feeling at one with the universe, new insights, wonder, awe, the loss of fears and doubts in these transcendent moments. It's a sad thing that Maslow died as young as he did. He died at 62 of a massive heart attack. He could have added so much more to our world, I know. But toward the end of his life, he formally added another level beyond self-actualization. I haven't written it down, but that was self-transcendence. Self-transcendence. And it included all those feelings, all those experiences that I just described, and a lot more. What Dr. Maslow didn't go deeply into, because he wasn't a divine scientist, sad for him, was that it really isn't necessary to have all these needs met before you experience moments of transcendence, moments of self-actualization. You don't have to go through all of those and have them all in place. No. Those moments of inner peace and security, of awe, of bounding optimism, and a feeling of well-being, of an inner assurance that, it's going to work out all right. It's going to be okay. That can have little or no spiritual overtones, or it can have overwhelmingly spiritual overtones and underpinnings. When you set your mind, though, to deeply transforming your mindset every day, every moment of every day contains the potential for self-actualization, for being all you can be, for transcendent experiences. A transcendent moment is unique. It's far beyond our daily common experiences. Excuse me. excuse me, it's an unforgettable place, a space. Excuse me. It's usually very brief. It's when that that tiny tick of time is filled with a newness. It's filled with insight, a special feeling. And it isn't of the earth. It's nothing like anything else. It's another order of reality. Now, whether we recognize those moments as spiritual or not, they are. They are spiritual. They're God making himself felt right there in the most beautiful and unique way. Now, there are many, many people who have had these moments, that sometimes in church, sometimes outside, sometimes in their cars, sometimes who knows where. And I dare say that there are many of the people in this room who have experienced that. But if and when we mentally and emotionally interject a spiritual mindset in our ongoing thinking, today and every day can be so much fuller, with so many more beautiful dimensions to it than other days. After all, this is the day. Now, right here is where we bring up the most important word in divine science, and that is omnipresence. God everywhere. It's the basis of our faith. And we insist on saying it to ourselves over and over and over again to remind us of the spiritual truth, and that is what Jesus said, I and the Father are one. Jesus spoke the truth. That was the truth of himself, but he also knew that it was the truth of every single one of us. The Father and I are one. Comes right out of the book of John. It's something we absolutely must remember and agree with internally, because it changes life dramatically for the better to know this, to internalize it, to feel it. Could we say this together? I and the Father are one. Together? I and the Father are one. One. Not two. Not separate. One. Let's say together, God fills me. God fills me. He does. Every single atom in your body vibrates with the energy of God. It's composed of the energy of God. Let's say, whatever I am, God is. Whatever I am, God is. God is what I am, and I am what he is, and there is no separation. This is the day that every one of us begins to work at consistently remembering ourselves that the importance of that word, omnipresence. God everywhere. Bring it into every moment, especially the oppressive ones, especially the boring ones, especially the times when we get annoyed. Because no matter what we might feel in this hierarchy of needs, and there are issues here. We all have them. God good, God abundance, God love is right there and no place else. God is in the midst of our difficulty. We have to keep remembering that. I don't think there's anybody in the room that has unmet physiological needs, air, water, food, etc., clothing, shelter, and on. Now, some of us might feel some safety needs. Indeed, this is very common. We might feel insecure, not protected about certain things. Maybe it's just the fear of loss of something that provides safety. But when you know that God, omnipresent, everywhere present, as it says in the 91st Psalm, is your shield and buckler, your protection, then the safety issues begin going away. You don't spend all this mental time fearing the future and what it might bring. God reigns always, and He provides the inspiration. He provides the opportunity and the creative ideas that will quickly fill any need we might have. Any sense of lack of safety will be eradicated. Now, if you need more sources of love and belonging, well, we all know that we have to give what we want to get, don't we? If we want love, we first have to give it. And then it's going to come flowing back to us. God's law of attraction works very, very well. It will bring the right groups, the right person, the right place to us. How do we think about what do we do with the people who are difficult, the critical people? I'd rather cross the street and walk on the other side of the street than go past them. Those who would really deliberately withhold love and acceptance from you. We have to do what we want done. We need to look at them with love. That's what we need to do, because they each and all are God's hurting children who feel unloved themselves, or they wouldn't act as they do. Look for the good in them. You will find it, even if it's just a shirt or a blouse that's nice and crisp and clean. Yeah, that's a good-looking shirt, you know. You will discover yet more good within them. And you will begin to see the godliness, the struggle within them. Their behavior, in due course to you, will soften and change and become much kinder. Above all, never forget that you and they are the recipients of God's unconditional love at all times. As far as esteem is concerned, any sense of inferiority or low self-esteem is 1,000% wrong. Wrong. You are the image of God. You are the likeness of God. You are part of the royal family. You are the child of the creator of the universe. 100 billion galaxies. You are the likeness of that force, part of it. As God's chosen, you are one with Him. You are His opportunity to bring blessings to earth. It doesn't matter what past mistakes you might have made. That's the past. That's a memory. No matter what erroneous feelings you might harbor about some inner deficiency or shortcoming, forget it. You are God's beloved. You are an indispensable part of His plan. You are His fully trusted and absolutely loved child. When we can move ourselves from just a hope to a deep conviction that God is everywhere, within and without, we have more and more of these transcendental moments, these self-actualized feelings of being all we can be, doing the very best we possibly can, and really feeling great about it. We begin to see God's fingerprints everywhere in our lives. We hear and see so many more good things that were kind of invisible before. Beautiful things. Life becomes more filled with synchronicities and fortuitous events. Our human needs are fulfilled in unexpected and really almost miraculous ways. We feel cared for. We feel privileged. And we are. As God's children, we are privileged. You know, instead of saying omnipresence all the time, sometimes I switch to something that means exactly the same thing. And it's from the 91st Psalm, and it's been part of this sermon. This is the day which the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. It's one of my favorite reminders of the truth of this moment. You know, when I say it, it has a physical effect on me. I feel myself relaxing. It changes my body. It also changes my attitude dramatically. Gives me patience where I'm impatient. It assures me that God really is present right in this moment, and I might feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this done when I should or in the way I should. It gives me that little push to know that God is right in this moment, and He's positively influencing me, and that just cheers me up. It just makes me feel good. So I had begun thinking, though, maybe, lady, this is good for you. It helps you, but you've been at this for almost 50 years. That should make a difference. Does it affect other people in the same way? Don't we all want that? Don't we all want the people around us to think that they hired a new person? Thank you, Bob. Don't we, when there are so many ups and downs in life, don't we want it to kind of even out and smooth out? And don't we want to feel that every day is a present? And don't we want to bloom and blossom in life's experiences? Yeah, of course we do. Of course we do. We want to have all our basic needs met. Of course we do. And take joy in being all that we can be, having transcendent moments, insights, understandings. The price, though, the price that we have to pay for all that we get is really low. It's a bargain. It's understanding that this day, this moment, is the only day we're going to live, this right now. And when we bring a spiritual mindset to it, when we're inwardly certain that God is within us, God is all around us, God is part of everything we experience, we will feel a sense of joy and ongoing freedom and love and self-assurance. Can we say this together, please? This is the day that God hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And for this, dear God, we do give thanks. Amen.